to the Runaround, as always brought to you by Holabird Sports here on ESPN 1300. I'm telling you, if you want great customer service for all of your running needs, check them out at holabirdsports.com. Once again, that's Holabird Sports. This is Greg Jubb, and I am here with Brad Jager and Louis Fudos, and in a moment, we'll play our interview with World Indoor Track and Field Champion and World Record holder in the heptathlon, Ashton Eaton. He was last year's silver medalist in the decathlon at the World Outdoor Track and Field Championships, finishing second to U.S. teammate Trey Hardy. So just so our listeners know, the heptathlon, unlike the decathlon, is a two-day competition with 7 different events. So the man is just an animal. And here's what he had to say. We are on the phone with Ashton Eaton, this year's heptathlon gold medalist in the World Indoor Track and Field Championships. And on his way to the top of the podium, he broke his own world record with a score of 6,645 points, good enough to make him the USATF's Athlete of the Week. Ashton, it's a real honor to have you on the Runaround. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. It's an honor to be on.
Let's begin with your performance at the World Indoor Meet. You won 5 events and took third in the high jump and the shot put. It really didn't take long before you were actually ahead of world record pace, your own world record. Was that your goal going into the meet?
My goal going into the meet was first to win and not think about the record, but it's kind of tough when I've done it a couple times before, so I would be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about it or if it wasn't in the back of my mind.
Right, so what were you thinking going into the 1,000? Well,
going into the 1,000, I knew the time was going to be 2:39, and, I've been training really well. I ran that when I was, a freshman in college, so I really didn't have a problem with that. I didn't want to, not run as hard as I could, though,
Right.
I didn't want to kind of cheat it out and say, I did that last year a little bit maybe, but this year I was kind of like, all right, let's kind of lay it all on the line.
Right, and you ran solo. You closed with an impressive 2:32 in that 1,000, and what's even more impressive is that, I've read things on Andrew Wheating's Twitter account that you ran a 1:52.800 in practice, and some decathletes treat the 1,000 for the heptathlon and the 1,500 for the decathlon almost as throwaways, but you seem to excel in them. What's your philosophy for that event?
I think it is a mental benefit to kind of go into those events knowing you can compete well in them, and and it's not just for my mindset, it also is against the competitors. If it's coming down to the last event and somebody knows that I can run, they're already, beating themselves up. So it's definitely a mental edge for me, both positive on my end and it affects my competitors negatively. I would like to think anyway.
Right. So do you think having the strength for those events, does that improve your 400 in the decathlon and then when you go into the 100 as well?
Actually, it's the reverse. I have really good 400 strength, and I think that's what helps my 1,500 and 1,000. We train like 400-meter runners, and I hardly ever do, long intervals or long runs. I think the most I run on a given day is a lap. So just training like a 400-meter runner actually makes me strong in those events.
So I know some middle-distance runners out there that will be listening are going to be like, geez, he only runs 400s, and he's running 2:32 in the 1,000. Help me God. Okay, let's talk about the other events, though. You took the U.S. Indoor Championships gold medal in the long jump with a hop of 26 feet 5 inches, which was a PR at the time, correct?
Yeah, it was.
And then you bettered that mark to about 26.9 in the heptathlon the other weekend. How does it feel to improve in events that you're already considered to be your strong suit?
Oh, man, it feels so good. For years, I feel like I've been underachieving the long jump, and of course, I still feel like I can go farther. Who doesn't feel like they can do better once they've done something? But once I started getting those distances, I felt so good, and I was. That's one of the most exciting things for me because the long jump is one of the first events. And again, that mental edge, if you can have a fast 100 and then just pop a booming long jump, it's kind of like, man, this guy's already on a roll, and that's how those events make you feel. So I'm pretty psyched about the LJ.
Right. So, and you're being pushed by teammates that can really hop as well. Will Clay, Christian Taylor. You're with elite company out there. Do you feel as though those guys?
I love competing with Will. He's such a young kid. He should still be in college, and he's so talented. And his PR is way further than mine. But we both have this long jump competitive fun thing, and that's what makes the competition so good.
So would you even say that American track and field is on the up and up? There's performances across the board in all events that are showing that there's some real talent.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it is on the up and up. And I was actually thinking of this when I was at Worlds and watching competition, and I was like, the U.S. track team and just American track is really young right now. You have the veterans like Bernard Lagat and Sonia Richard on the women and men's side, but you have a lot of young kids like Centrowitz, Will Clay, Christian Taylor, he's 21. it's like, geez.
And
these guys are all on the world stage, Jenny Simpson.
Right, and you have some college teammates of yours, Matthew Centrowitz, Galen Rupp. What's it like to continue not only from having an elite college team, but to the next level of being on the American team with guys you ran with in college?
It's awesome. I mean, Centro and I, we were hanging out over in Istanbul, and, it's kind of just like the college days. I'd see him on the track and be like, yo, Centro, what's up? And, we kind of toured the city together and stuff, and Galen as well. So that kind of stuff really makes it comfortable. You really feel like a team, and it makes it easier to compete better,
Very cool. Let's move on to the throws, the javelin, shot, and discus. You've really improved in the past couple of years. Have you been putting extra emphasis on those events?
Of course I have. I was not so good in the throws. And, I'm still learning, but I have a really good coach for, developing my throws, Harry Mara. And it's something that's, got to be done. Of course, I can play to my strengths, like the long jump, high jump, 400, whatever. But, I've got to get the shot put, discus, and jab going.
Right, and the shot put, you prefer to use more of a glide technique. Do you think that'll be necessary going into the Olympics or in further competition to start using a rotational approach?
Yeah, I actually use the shuffle. It's even more basic than the glide. It's like for elementary kids. As far as the rotation goes, I think eventually that could be where the highest potential lies for me. But as it is with the decathlon, as far as training, we just don't have the time to put in, to get consistent with that. I don't want to be thrown out of the sector and worrying about all this other stuff. So for right now in the games, I'm going to stick with what I'm doing.
So with the Olympic Games in mind, obviously 2012 is a big year. Is there anything that you and Coach Mara have been working on specifically to train for the 2012 decathlon?
As far as I know, I don't think so. Our training is basically just the same. I'm making good improvements in all of my events, so it's kind of like not broken, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. I think it's like super imperative to basically be 100% healthy. Like, that's always been our philosophy. Go to the line 100% healthy, even if you're in 80% shape. Don't go to the line 100% in shape and 80% healthy, because I've been there before, and it is way worse than the other way around.
Right, and even you could refer to the 2011 World Championships. I know you were frustrated, and I don't think you were 100% there. Do you think so? Health is important to you. Do you think the prospects are good for the 2012 Olympics? You seem like you're staying healthy. You're on your game. You feeling strong going into the 2012 Olympics?
Yeah, I'm feeling very strong, and I'm feeling very healthy, and I definitely think my prospects are good. And as far as Daegu is concerned, I actually wasn't hurt. I was 100%. And I think that was what was so frustrating, because my marks weren't showing that I was, and I expected to do such big things that I didn't. And I just mentally broke myself down, which is absolutely terrible thing to do. So I considered myself very naive and young in the sport at that point, but I've definitely learned a lot. So I'm glad that mess happened to me last year, and going into this year, I'm healthy, ready, know what to expect. So it's good.
Right, and you get it out of your system, and let's face it, if you have a bad day, your own teammates are your hardest competition. You have Trey Hardy, guys like that. What's it like? You've trained in the midst and competed in the midst of guys like Trey and Brian Clay. The American multi-event athletes are really something else. What do you think about that?
It's a really tough situation, because I like Trey and I like Brian, and it's really good to compete against them because they're really good and they push me to better performances. At the same, and we're on the same team, and it's like I want the U.S. team to do good, of course. At the same time, I want to win. I want to be first, and there's only one first. So when we go to a meet, Daegu was kind of the first time where we were both competitive, going for the gold, and it was actually really good. Trey's more of a veteran than I am. He's like, hey, we're going to go into this as a team. Doesn't matter if it's first or second. We're going to be 1-2 no matter what. I said, okay, I can deal with that. Of course, the whole time I was gunning for one, but I'm still happy that, U.S. won too.
Right, and some people can kind of skate by the Olympic trials, but not so much here for the U.S. team. You have to really focus on the trials. What's your philosophy? I don't think you can necessarily look forward straight to the Olympics. What's your philosophy going into training for the trials and preparing for London as well?
You're absolutely right. Everybody's kind of saying, hey, what do you think of London? And my first thing is, the trials. I have to get top 3. The philosophy is kind of do the same thing I did last year. I'm at a huge advantage because I'm competing in Eugene and I'm here all the time, and I can just be so relaxed. And I'm not going to try to gun anything. I don't even care if I win. As long as I get top 3, I'm just going to do whatever it takes to get top 3. That's how I'm going into the trial.
Very cool. And well, let's look at it this way. In a press release released by USA Track and Field, you said that you're not quite in peak shape yet. So that almost implies like there's bigger and better things to come. Do you think that your training, tailoring yourself for June and July and August, is going to allow you to perform at your peak? Or basically what I'm asking is this the year of Ashton? Are we going to see some like real big PRs this year? What do you think?
That's always a hope. And of course, I'm not peaked this early. I mean, that would be foolish of my coach and myself to let that happen this early in the season. I think I am getting older. I'm 24. I think starting to develop a lot more. Going into this year, I'm telling you, if I feel good, I don't really know what I can do at this point because I'm still developing, still getting better, still getting faster, still getting stronger, So, of course, I think we can see big things. It's just, can I do it? And that's the thing with the decathlon. You have limited chances. You got 3 attempts, you got 1 shot. So I hope for the best. If all the stars are aligned perfectly, I mean, it could be amazing. But I don't like to tout my own stuff, so it's like whatever.
Right. It's good to stay humble. It's always good. It keeps you honest. But here's a simple question for you. How do you find the time to train, and how do you diversify your training schedule for 10 different events?
You might be surprised at the answer. We actually don't train as much as you think. I train for about an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning, take a couple-hour break, hour and a half to 2 hours in the afternoon. And really, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are our quality days, our throws, jumps, workout, sprinting, whatever. Tuesday, Thursday are our throws, lifting, and then Saturday's kind of, we'll do lifting and then do selected events that we think need to work throughout the week. So it's not that difficult for me to find time to train. I mean, there is a lot of stuff that I'm not doing on the track that is also considered training, like sitting around and doing nothing. Mm-hmm. You want your body to feel good, now that's just part of training. Eating healthy and all these other things. So it's a way different philosophy than I actually used or my coach used in college. I mean, we would train a ton, but now it's just kind of like a less is more. Keep the body feeling good, go to practice with good mindset. So far it's working.
So you're one of the athletes that espouses it's the recovery that matters, not so much the workouts.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to kill it off. I used to go to the well all the time in running workouts, and now it's kind of like, you know what, push hard, but you don't have to go to the well every time. You don't have to be bent over throwing up. So, some people may say, oh, he could be so much better if he does that, but I don't know if it's working right now.
Exactly. If it's working for you, why change it? And let me ask you this. What's the hardest part about it, though, training for 10 events?
I would say the hardest part is not being able to spend as much time with each event as I wanted to. We'll have something really good going, and then it'll be like, hey, we don't have time to keep doing this. I mean, yes, it's good. Let's end on a good note and go to another event. Or the complete opposite happens. I get so frustrated because an event is going super crappy, and then I still don't have time to work on it and make it better. Like, hey, coach, one more attempt. No, because we have to pole vault today. You can't keep doing hurdles all day because your hamstring is get tight, whatever. So both ends of that spectrum are kind of frustrating.
All right, well, whatever you're doing, it's obviously working. So we at the Runaround, we wish you the best of luck. We want to tell you congratulations on the world record. It's something else to watch U.S. track athletes really doing something big on the international scale. So with the London Olympics coming up, and more importantly, as you said, the Olympic trials coming up, we want to wish you the best of luck. Hope you stay healthy. And as always, keep training hard.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate what you do. You're making track big in the U.S., so keep it up.
Tell you what, the guy's a real class act. He was very humble. And, I think it's impressive. He knows that he has goals for the 2012 Olympics, but he admits, I can't look past the Olympic trials right now. The U.S. team, the potential for the U.S. team is just that good. And with the transition to the outdoor track season, he now has to focus on the decathlon. He talked a little bit about that on the interview. Brad, with the addition of events like the 1500, the javelin, do you think he has what it takes? He's a little bit weak in the throws, but he said he's working on it. What do you think the potential is for Ashton Eaton in the 2012 Olympics?
Well, 47.9 in the shot put isn't bad. He does need to get that over 50 feet to be competitive. The javelin is a technique type of event. It really isn't strength. I mean, you'll look at the best javelin throwers and they're long and lean. Who's the javelin thrower at Maryland that's the high jumper?
John Hill.
John Hill, right? He's not a big guy, but he can throw that thing out there. So, and he ran a 232,000, so he can put it out in the 1500.
And I don't know if the listeners heard it earlier in the interview, but according to Andrew Wheating's tweet, I was following his Twitter account not too long ago. Apparently, Ashton Eaton just split 152 in practice for the 800, so he's got speed. Yeah. He's got tons of speed. He can run about 46 something for the 400, 10 low or 10 mid or so, maybe around 10.3 in the 100. He can hurdle well. Long jumps 26.9. I mean, he's performing singularly in these events. You know what most people can do as specialists for those events. It's really something else.
But do they really train for the distance for the 1500 during?
Not really. It's kind of a throwaway.
Right, exactly. Everything else is such technique and such little idiosyncrasies. That's where they're spending the time.
You know, as a miler, I'm looking forward to the day where a decathlete says, you know what, I'm just going to kill the 1500. Here we go. I'm scoring a ton of points in the 1500.
10 events. I'm lucky if I can walk and chew gum at the same
right,
time.
exactly. That's the impressive thing. Anyway, coming up, we will have NCAA 3,000 meter champion Emily Infeld of Georgetown University on the phone with us. Don't miss it.